Breaking news from the NFL. The Giants have agreed to trade Odell Beckham Jr. to the Browns.
If you're a Cleveland Brown fan, it's time to be excited right now.
Odell makes the catch, headed to the end zone for a touchdown.
Odell Beckham Jr. reunites with Jarvis Landry, his former LSU college teammate.
This team is dangerous.
All right, we call this sneaky Hembo time, but this question was my idea. So Eli Manning, if the Giants have a terrible season and he starts all the way through, is going to wind up his career with a sub-500 record. We think he's going to the Hall of Fame. In fact, I'm sure he is. There are only 2 quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame that have losing records. Jalen is so sure he knows this. We're going to let him take the guess. Go ahead, Jalen. Who are the 2 quarterbacks?
Thank you very much. One of the guys, if I remember correctly, not only has a losing record, he has more interceptions than touchdowns. Joe Namath.
Correct. He has 1 game under 500 with 4 ties. The other one?
The other one, Eli's father, Archie.
Those are my 2 guesses. Broadway Joe, who also would wear this sweater, and Archie.
No. Archie Manning is not in the Hall of Fame.
We wanted it.
The answer is Sonny Jurgensen.
Sonny
finished his career 2 games under 500. Jalen brought a mic to drop. Go ahead, Jalen. You're going to drop the mic? You might
want to hold on to it.
Question. There you go. Having said all of that, let me go to Orlovsky now, because we're going to put up here the fundamental list. We have seen a lot of huge moves. Most of the really big free agency moves have been made. Give me your top 5 impactful free agency moves to this point. Go.
Number 5 is going to be the Honey Badger to the Chiefs. And he would have been higher for me if they didn't move on from Justin Houston and Dee Ford. I believe that those 2 losses are going to impact this move. Like, Honey Badger's fantastic, whether you want him in coverage, whether you want him in blitzing, whether you want him to play against the run. But the loss of Dee Ford and then moving on from Justin Houston, those are 2 big, impactful rush guys that might really affect the impact that the Honey Badger can have.
Okay, it's 5. Who's 4?
Deshaun Jackson to the Eagles.
Ooh.
Deshaun Jackson to the Eagles is a big deal. This is a guy that, even in the midst of a bad year last year with the team, almost averaged 20 yards per catch. And I go back to the combination of what is Carson Wentz. One of his strengths is throwing the football down the field. Deshaun Jackson, such a deep threat. This makes the Eagles, to me, one of, if not the best team in the NFC. Or the team to go beat in the NFC. That addition.
Okay, that's more than I thought you were going to give credit to that move. What's 3?
AB to the Raiders. I mean, everyone knows how great of a player AB is. We've lost track of him. 15 touchdowns last year. Just another tremendous year. I've won 6 straight years of 100-plus catches. You're going to add him to a quarterback that has needed weapons, struggled last year without it. This guy is an all-timer, and he's talked about going to chase down the great and Jerry Rice. I love the move for the Raiders.
I agree with you, and it also sort of feels like it begins to change the perception. The Raiders have been bad. Last year they were kind of a joke. This gives them a level of credibility and certainly at least some excitement. I like that. What's number 2?
You'll probably give me some flack that this isn't number 1, but Le'Veon Bell to the Jets. To your Jets. Again.
It's the most impactful move of all time, but okay, go ahead.
of ever. But the dual threat, the ability to help that offensive line in the run game, the ability to get out on the edges, catch passes, get in matchup situations, make sure that you have somebody for Sam Darnold to get the ball to out of his hands and make big plays. So I love the move for the Jets. I don't know who's going to necessarily be blocking for him, but this was a team that needed help, and they got it in Le'Veon Bell.
So there's 1 spot left, and I have a feeling I know who's in it.
Yeah, Odell.
Yeah.
This is to the team that now has gone from winless to Super Bowl contender in about 15 or 16 months. Odell Beckham is a transcendent, generational player, one of the elite receivers we have seen in the NFL in a short period of time. You're adding him to a team that already had some good players into a quarterback that loves to be aggressive with the football in a relationship that's based on friendship. I mean, this is we're not giving, this move could have ripple effects for the next decade across all of the NFL.
I can't disagree with that. Graziano, you got a problem with any of this?
I don't, but
you better not.
Looking at this list, thank you. Looking at this list, I feel like the Steelers should have been on Biggest Losers when we did that earlier in the show, right? You got number 2 and number 3 wearing their uniform.
I'm telling you, this is a big move. This is a big move.
Deshaun Jackson is sort of a sneaky big move. And so one of our quests here at Get Up is to make you a smarter sports fan. And so, yeah, you knew these names. You knew they traded places, and you knew on one level or another, they were very impactful. Now I've asked these guys to put together the sneaky big moves, the moves that didn't get a lot of attention that will be very impactful. Graziano, I'm starting with you. What haven't we paid enough attention to?
D Ford to the 49ers. They made this trade literally like 10 seconds after the news of the Odell Beckham trade broke, so nobody noticed it. They trade for D Ford. They sign him long-term to be a pass rusher. And the reason this is an impactful move on the league, the 49ers hold the number 2 pick in the draft. This could change the way they operate. You talked earlier about them possibly trading that pick. Having D Ford in place, maybe they don't need to stretch for a pass rusher.
Orlovsky, sneaky big move.
Mark Ingram to the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, this is a guy that has second place in the NFL over the last 4 years in red zone touchdowns. He's great out of the backfield catching passes, and so helping a young quarterback get the ball out of his hands with Lamar Jackson. And I go back to, they're going to play a specific style of football, especially down in the red zone. They really struggled last year when Lamar Jackson took over. Mark Ingram's going to have a tremendous impact on that offense and Lamar Jackson.
All right, this is good. Give me another one, Graziano.
Tevin Coleman. I'm going back to the 49ers. Tevin Coleman reuniting with Kyle Shanahan out there in San Francisco. Could be an addition to the backfield. Could be a replacement for Jerick McKinnon, who they just signed last year, but has no more guaranteed money left on his contract. Gives Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers options in terms of how they want to construct their offense this year.
Orlovsky, you got one more?
Nobody circles the wax, or try to do a boomer thing. The Buffalo Bills. I mean, the pickup of Cole Beasley, who is a fantastic slot receiver, reliable for Josh Allen, going to be a guy that's going to work in between the hashes, make sure that he's got somebody underneath to get the ball out of his hands. And then John Brown, who is a very good receiver. Now the Bills have Zay Jones and John Brown, and they have a track team to put around that strong-armed quarterback in Josh Allen. Did you like my boomer?
These are moves. No, I didn't, but I did like the sneaky big move. SportsCenter comes your way tonight. Special time, 5 o'clock after Virginia Tech, Florida State. Sage and Keith, live coverage from Charlotte of the ACC. Zion tonight. Scott Van Pelt breaking down the value of the 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, and all today's best comments from NFL players changing uniforms. It's on ESPN, and you can watch on the ESPN app. Speaking of sneaky big news, coming up next, Draymond Green did something yesterday that has us believing he could wind up teaming up with LeBron. You'll hear what that is next.